In that day of days, in that dawn of days, when I become a composer, I will remember Africa, 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 and dance. Dance me some music. In that dawn of days, in that day of days, when I become a composer, a performing artist, I will fling my arms, tell the world about something called freedom.
How sweet the sound.
That's all right.
That has saved a wretch like me. Once was lost, but now I found. Once was blind, but now I see.
I guess, I think it was love. If you saw the dance troupe for the first time, it was a kind of experience that was almost like ethereal. It was like you were impacted. If you weren't emotional, that meant you just didn't feel anything.
It could be 2.5 to 3 hours and you didn't have a backup. So you were expected to stay out on the stage the whole time and dance, and you had better dance your heart out.
Whenever you saw him, he was energized, he was excited, he stood straight and tall, and the man always fascinated me because he always had this sheen, he was always just shining. He just had this image that was just truly beautiful and wonderful, and just very contagious, and you wanted to be a part of that kind of energy. Every time I was around him, it was just like eyes wide open.
You do not have to be a prima donna. You do not have to be somebody's concept of what a dancer is all about. If you can breathe, I am willing to work with you. I believe that there is a dancer, there's a musician in everybody.
Danny did everything big. Nothing was small. He lived to the max. He would put on one of the best dinners for secretaries because he valued them as workers. And so he had this annual spread at his house on doing Secretaries Week. And the women on campus were fighting to go to this dinner. And Danny would cook the whole meal, he would serve it. He'd have doormen there for you to open the door. I mean, all kind of crazy stuff. And do it up in a grand fashion, even though what he had was very simple, but he always did it in such an enormous manner.
I want to dance. I want to dance. Pull them off the gram. I hope at the age of 95 to be dancing. If they have to prop me on stage and I have an opportunity to point my finger, I want them to go, bravo, he pointed. I want to be moving at 95 in terms of choreography and dance and movement, and not just sitting down and say, oh, I used to, and do you remember when? Oh, hell no. No, I want to dance.
I mean, you're less than 20, 19 years old, and you're a part of an Emmy Award-winning production. It was just chance of a lifetime.
Was it a rose? Yeah, Danny wrote. Yeah, because he just did it big. Danny did it big that night.
Because if you're talking about African American culture, you're talking about a very living and a very functional culture. You're not talking about something you hang up on the wall, as I told you before, and put a spotlight on it. You're talking about something that is living, that is alive. The spirituals are part of a living culture. The blues are part of a living culture. Our songs, our field hollers, our cries of pain, of joy, of ecstasy are all a part of a living culture. And I try to do it all.
When he came to try to hug me, I just stuck my hand out and I said, don't hug men. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, attention everybody, Mr. Macho Man, he doesn't hug men. And he just grabbed me like, well, get over here. This not, we hug men around here.
There was a problem wearing those tights. That was an issue, because one of the things, like, not to give you kind of my frame, because, I'm originally from South Philly, went in the Marine Corps,
I'm a Vietnam veteran, you know, all those things, but there was something about, you know, having to wear tights, not a part of my thinking. Men don't walk around in tights.
Because of his energy and how he carried himself. When Danny walked on the campus, you noticed him automatically. You knew he was there. He was so confident within himself. And I think that kind of transferred over to a lot of us as guys, the men in the dance troupe, that we could feel good about ourselves even wearing tights, and it wasn't anything that was strange about us or funny or anything like that, but it was just another way that we could express ourselves.
Once the dance troupe finished its performance, everyone in the room just rose to their feet. And I was one of those people, just clapping and clapping, you know, I mean, I had little tears running down my eyes. So when I think about the dance troupe, that experience, it takes me back to that time when I was impacted by it. Oh, hold on. You know, I can't remember the exact day, but I remember that I just remember the seriousness of it.
I remember it well because we had a dinner party at his house, and it was a potluck and everybody brought something. And I had left one of my mama's bowls at Dr. Danny's house. So I had been trying to call to ask when I could get the bowl back. And then we had some practices canceled, and I didn't know really what was going on. So I called Valerie, one of the dancers, and I said, well, first of all, you know, what's going on with practice? And second of all, I need to get my mama's bowl back because she wants her bowl. And Valerie said to me, okay, Jocelyn, forget about the bowl.
It was a shocker as far as physically seeing what he looked like at that particular point. And that image is still burned in my head today, you know, and something I can't really let go of.
Even though he had deep friends, he was always afraid that people would reject him for that.
When he passed, man, it was like, you know, there was a void in my life, you know, and so it was just one of those things, man, where I just felt like I lost my father.
And every now and then a good sister from the Southern Black Baptist Church would say deep in my heart, if I believe we shall overcome someday.
He wanted to live every moment that he could. He wanted to squeeze every bit of life out of those moments that he could. So he just kind of kept pushing it, you know, kept pushing it.
So we are here to celebrate life. And we are here in search of a path. And we are here to celebrate life.
When I'm in the rehearsal, sometimes I know I'm speaking like Danny, you know, clowning around like he does. His life will always be something very special and dear into my heart.
He really opened my eyes to sometimes how narrow we are, how limited we are in our vision.
Here, to go get him. You know, I mean, that's what he did for us. And unless you knew him, and unless you, gosh, I just wish people could have at least taken one semester in that class with him, because to me, you just never would be the same.